Oh, damn it. I thought the stream was still up. That would have been hilarious.
No. Boop. And boop.
Let me know when it's live. It is, isn't it?
Yep.
And of course. Hello everybody, welcome back to Factions. My name is JD, insert something here, mage. I shall be casting today. Alongside me is Junpei. Damn it.
Junpei.
There we go. And we have Pork Chop streaming, of course.
June poop.
Yeah, of course you are. Anyway, today is the second match between Shadow Owls and Bilge Water that will help determine the fate of the Stormhaven battle. Granted, this isn't the total fate, it's just which team will have a bit of a strength bonus. During the first game, it was a really strong beginning of Bilgewater's dominance,
Right.
though during the mid-game there was a very big screw-up, and it led to Shadow Owls' victory. So now we shall see what Game 2 brings.
Yes, as I understand, Urgot got extremely fed, and it just kind of went from
It's
there.
Chim, it does that. Really, it was just a matter of, there was one tank for Bilgewater, and he was split-pushing, or not really split-pushing, he was holding the top lane because minions were a big pain, and then bot lane was being pushed by Diana because reasons. Though the teams have done a bit of a swapping, the rule for this match it was a little different. There were no set up organized player listings as per usual featured matches, since this was pretty much a last minute one. So it was really just, here's the listings, find people to fit that. But the listings were made to fit the very large amount of low players on the side of Shadow Owls.
Oh, Jay, are you in the spectate thing?
I am not.
Whoops.
I don't remember to do that.
That's the password.
You started the game, didn't you?
No, that's the password. Join quick before they start.
I don't know the password.
I just typed in raid call. The second one.
Raid call. Why are you saying it on raid call?
I typed it. They can't see it.
Yes, they can because you typed it.
No.
Oh, you did it off stream, didn't you?
No, I have it on the game capture, so it only captures the game.
Oh, very fancy and professional. I am surprised.
Silly.
Says the Lulu main.
Silly.
Anyway. We are in Champ Select.
Oh,
Over the...
I'm not in there.
Oh. Well, Jimbo's going to be cut out of Champ Select for a while.
Oh, well. I guess I'll just comment on this loading screen I'm getting on the stream.
Yes, loading screen, indefinitely. One thing I did note from the last game was that Shadow Owls banned out Rip Champ Select, and Bilgewater banned it out bad. Why would they make the password? That's whatever.
It appears on Shadow Owls we have the extremely controversial strat. All four out of 5 of their members having the same melee blue minion as their icon.
That's just a stupid little graphics bug that Riot never fixes.
Yeah, I think we might have to postpone this match if Shadow Owls is going to be using bugs like that in their favor.
Indeed. There's a lot of things going for them in their favor, but that's something that shall not be discussed here. So Chimapalpaka picking his favored Urgot. I'm going to keep saying York. Boo and Yar have been banned out. We shall see who the Bilgewater take.
Please not another Fizz jungle.
No, seems like this might be Fizz mid. I believe the Night Terrors did not succeed, correct? Did Night Terrors get it rolled?
Oh, yes, they don't get a ban.
Good. We see Fizz and Nami being hovered over right now. Animorph is known to play Nami for the future games.
Will we be seeing Nautilus now? Yay!
Nautilus and Maokai, preferably 2 tanks.
Yes.
As people know, I prefer the 2-tank strategy.
I genuinely thought Nautilus was banned last game because
Nope.
I saw no reason for Shadow Owls to not run him, or
I don't
Bilgewater to
know,
not
the
run
guy...
him.
Rextref owned Nautilus, but we don't like him playing Nautilus because he doesn't play Nautilus well and hasn't asked for any help. But that is something we rectified.
Very, very hard.
Yes. So it was a little bit of everybody had a niche role that they could fill because they didn't know the other champions, since we had to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find silvers and bronzes.
Pretty much.
Especially since Pally's isn't here.
I know.
It's just odd. He's normally on for featured days.
No, he's not.
Yeah, featured days he's always
I
on.
never see him.
I always see him on featured days, granted it's whenever we're playing. That might also be why he was here. He doesn't know that we were going to play today. Oh well. Hindsight's 20/20 and all that. So we see Aussie and Noxian Diplomacy picking the same champions as before, such as Chim has done. Heavy Weapons guy picking Maokai again, though this time will be a top lane Maokai. Zalk going for ADC Graves, and we're going to see Nagrok picking Jungle, and I believe he was saying in the chat before he will go Jungle Nautilus, if not Mid Victor.
I see.
And since there's a Fizz, it's going to be a Nautilus Jungle.
Seems Shadow Isles is running much the same comp. Bilgewater is switching things up quite a bit. Some of the same champs, all of them in different positions.
A Mumu being picked up instead this time by Raptor Attacks.
Ooh.
Before it was the Hecarim from Zond.
That's still gonna be pretty devastating with that AoE stun and then all that other AoE crap.
If hit, but at the same time, Maokai's ultimate will be a majority of the Mumu ultimate, so good damage will be chunked away. And that's Nautilus picked up by Nagarok. Now with two main tank lines, Bilgewater should be able to protect their carries while also threatening the enemy carries.
So this is generally just a tank v tank game with Thresh and a Mumu, plus how tanky Urgot gets during the late game versus Maokai and
Can't Mordekaiser get pretty tanky as well? And even Thresh, if he decides to build tank.
He can. Well, Thresh should build tank.
Yeah.
Mordekaiser could get tank E, but he's not a tank. Because I deem tanks as tanky with enough CC to save and or threaten people. Not the kind of threat that Mordekaiser does, since he can't protect anybody. These shall be the teams. There are no weird summoner spells on anybody. Chim, of course, always runs Ghost Heal or Ghost Flash. So, we shall wait about 4 minutes and we shall get to the loading screen. Until then, random chatter! We are doing horrible random chatter.
Well, that's what happens when you got Shadow Isles in the game.
You're a terrible person, June. Random conversation topics.
Speaking of Shadow Isles, I haven't really been keeping up with factions too much lately. Didn't they pick up Aatrox?
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen them use him.
He was used last week, though Mike has seemed to be one of the only few people that can use him effectively well for the featured matches.
As I understand, Aatrox isn't that bad, is he?
He's not, but it's around the same time he's a little awkward to use just because, hey, I'm going to jump in the team, but then the damage is... It's weird. He can do a lot, but it's weird how he does it. Not a bad weird, but a weird weird. And I lost a thing. Well, then, here's something to randomly chatter about. Twitch chat, and of course us three. What 4 or possibly 2 factions would you like to see in the next arc? I personally would like to see Bandle City, Void, Shrima, and then random 4th, because you know what? I like the idea of 3 other factions beating the hell out of Bandle City.
I will be the first to say I'm happy with whatever factions as long as Son isn't involved.
Zon is not involved. Oh, right then. Whenever I've talked to people about this, they have said either Piltover or maybe Demacia being brought into that as the 4th.
People really like to see Demacia in these things. It's understandable.
What?
But the one I'd probably like to see most is Bandle City.
What?
They got to show off their skills after how horribly they did in Hextech Revolution.
Oh yeah, you were part of BC.
You can say it like that. I want to beat the crap out of Bandle City.
Cause Lulu.
Because Lulu.
You bitch.
Yeah, also the reason I don't join Bandle City is because Lulu.
That'd probably be the only reason I do join them.
If those 4 would to be put in there, I would be joining the Void. For those that don't know, which is probably a good majority of you, I am a Rek'Sai main. She has become my best champion and is carrying me into Platinum.
Mm-hmm.
You first.
I just play a lot of champions, I'll say. Like Rumble, Tristana, Amumu. Good times. Is Amumu even a Bandle City character anymore with the lore rewrite?
No.
Shuriman. He's Shuriman.
I guess we're gonna have to rectify that.
Probably. Well, then again, they could probably just keep it as he's been friends with everybody for so long. They'll maybe knock him down to secondary or tertiary, whatever he was before. But I plan to be, if Void is in the next arc, what Orderly and Malzahar have together, except with me and Rek'Sai.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of lore, I wonder if we're actually going to be able to get out like another big lore piece before this arc ends.
Well, isn't this going to be the lore piece? Stormhaven?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, compared to Hextech Revolution, Nyroth has been a bit devoid of gigantic lore pieces just because of the nature of the whole island thing.
Sorry, had to respond to Dark. Fuck you, Dark. Anyway. And the game has kind of started. We're in the loading screen, which is a different amount of time waiting than it was before. Hooray! Joy! Anyway.
Skin Wars begin.
We all know that Chimo Papaka does own Battlecast Urgots. That'll be one immediately. Nocturne Diplomacy, of course, and Pharaoh Amumu. So 3 skins for the side of Shadow Isles. We have Subterranean Nautilus, Totemic Maokai, Pool Party Graves, and I think Sea Drive owns a skin. I can't be too sure. But Anamorph, unfortunately, does not have a Nami skin.
Sea Drive is not connected on my screen, so this...
He
really
just connected on my screen.
Fisherman Fizz. Okay.
Team 4 skin versus Team 3 skin.
I was really rooting for Shadow Isles in this game, but gotta give it to Bilgewater.
Indeed.
You can't beat out Pool Party Graves.
He can't. He looks too manly. Anyway. I'm gonna read Twitch chat to see if Dark responded to my thing, because I want to beat the crap out of him for insulting me.
Although, honestly, Fisherman Fizz has lost a little bit of credibility to me after how horribly... Who played Fizz in the last game?
Arcstruff.
Yeah, him. His ultimate at the end of that game just threw it into thin air.
I know, you probably misclick, but you never know.
You never know.
Poor Earth. Thrown into nothing.
But yes, just keep that in mind about what factions we would all like to see coming the next arc. Just because eventually there will be a post about it, probably within a month or so, once we actually come up with an idea for the next arc. Oh, and the game has given us a spectator lag. We shall see who the first champion to buy an item shall be. Kind of soon. Maybe.
It's a little...
Game started. Beside Callista's previously bought item, that is Nautilus buying his Hunter's Machete and Boots before anyone else has bought an item. And that is Nocturne Diplomacy killing off Ozymandias. Friendly Fire is enabled in this game mode for some reason.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
So, looking towards the teams right now, seems nobody is willing to invade. Gonna have to change up the tab screen to have everybody ranked up where they should be. Support's at the bottom. Top laners at the top. Yada yada yada. Random chatter because we should be talking.
Hey, it's the beginning of the game, alright? It's
30 seconds until
time.
minions spawn.
Dead air is dead air. Speaking of dead air, dead ash. Oh, she's not here.
Speaking of dead air, Shadow Isles.
Well, I'm going to be staring at the Subterranean Nautilus skin. I don't see this skin often due to the fact Astro Nautilus is the preferred for many of the summoners, myself included. If I can get a look at it, Naga won't stop moving.
Well, it's always nice to have variety.
Now, in actuality, why would you have... I know that's an anchor in actuality, but for this case it's a pickaxe, to have a drill on both ends and in the front of it.
Well, how else is he going to pierce the heavens?
Oh, shut up, you. You don't reference that here. In a perfect world, we don't reference it. Up. Jungle camps respawn, or spawned. Let it zoom back out. Jim Apopka not...
That he comes back into the game.
Why'd you say that?
Super Galaxy Rumble.
Eh. I'll have fun killing it. Anyway. Looking at the top lane, heavy weapons guy employing the run to the bush strategy to try to reset... not reset. Set the minion aggro onto one minion.
Seems like bot lane's going to be a lot more pokey in this game, due to the fact that they're running Nami instead of Maokai.
Indeed. Good damage coming from both sides. Looking towards the mid lane, C-Drive already taken a good bit of poke from Big Mike. Mordekaiser, just like in the previous game, has an upper hand against his opponent just because of how the kits work.
So looking at the starting ends a bit here, Fizz started with a crystalline flask, giving him the sustained advantage over Mordekaiser. On the other hand, Mordekaiser, with the amp tone, obviously, building that into his revolver, that gives him the damage advantage, so...
And a lot of damage advantage. And a technical sustain advantage due to the fact that shield is based off the damage he does.
Yeah. So, Fizz is going to have to play this smart.
Ooh, Noxian
On the
Flames
other
are taking
hand.
quite low in the bot lane. Do some general poke. Okay, forced back into his turret. CS seems to be pretty even.
Nautilus has gotten his red buff and is going back to base.
Should have just enough money to upgrade his weapon, as a Mumu has done.
I noticed playing the mid lane, Mordekaiser went in for the Q on Fizz, but Fizz just barely playful trickstering away from it, causing Mordekaiser to waste one of his spells.
Now the best thing for Fizz to do in this situation is to try to sustain with his flask as long as possible while Mordekaiser is using his health to damage him. While Mordekaiser has a single health pot, that won't last
On the other
him.
hand, he is landing a hook on Graves. On the other hand, he is getting very low. He is exhausted.
Bubble
Not
landing
able
onto
hit.
Thresh. Unfortunately, no follow-up from either side. It was just used as a disengage tool. Though Zulk and Animorph
The
are...
Ignite's going down to mid lane. Big Mike is very low. This might finish him off.
Ignite
No,
does
both
not
sides
kill
survive,
off
just barely.
Mordekaiser. Now Fizz does have his crystalline flash charges rolling right now. Raptor Attack trying to line up a Q, hopefully to get a first blood off on the Fizz, but will not land it. Now that is a second amplifying tone for Mordekaiser, going back into the mid lane.
Top lane looking relatively even. Neither side really able to land a good hit.
Oh, a pink ward and 3 red pots as well.
This is generally a good thing for Maokai, considering how often Urgot casts spells.
Though it is at the same time how painful those spells are. Though one thing to note, Heavy does love a farm lane with his Maokai, but it's at the same time if Chim Alpaca is allowed to farm with his Urgot, it doesn't end well.
Thresh, some Q at bot lane. Nautilus is going for the golems. I mean, we've just finished up with its rates. Shadow Isles is relatively pushed up in bot lane, so they're probably gonna have to back off soon.
Heavy Weapons guy going for the snare increase in order to get as much damage and a longer CC out versus his Q max in the first game. And taking a very big amount of poke. Nautilus is showing, walked past the minion wave. Snare
Shimmer's
base
very
attack
low
coming out,
back.
flash from Apopka. Hook does land, snare from Maokai. No Q to oh, Q does come up very last second, trying to get as much damage as possible, but Amumu comes in, stunning Nagarok. No follow-up, that was a very good amount of damage coming out.
From both sides. Both Maokai and Urgot
Oh,
are very
Hulk
low
landing
on
onto
mana,
Chip past the Amumu. There's so little mana. Flash from Maokai, able to secure the kill with the very, very
Amumu
tail
is
end
supposed
of
to
the
flash
queue.
away.
A very good play from both of the technical diamonds.
Yeah. Good play from Bilgewater. So that's definitely going to give Maokai the advantage up at top lane. Although, as we saw in last game, it seems like Urgot's able to come back from that early first blood. So we'll see what happens.
We shall see. Heavy weapon guy does have teleport, so he should be able to get to the
the
lane
hook on
fairly
bot
soon.
lane. Nami nearly dying. Oh,
And does die
The flash
right
is really
next to the
good.
tower.
Thresh uses his exhaust on Graves, but he flashes away, so I think
Ooh, Mordekaiser killing off Fizz in the mid lane. Nagarok ignoring the Fizz Ghost for just too long.
bot lane's going to get some damage on the tower here. Graves will try to defend.
Nagarok taking very low from the Mordekaiser damage.
So, nothing's really happening, so let's just take a moment to consider what will happen in the lore if Shadow Isles wins this game. Because
Shadow Isles wins this game. Goodbye, Stormhaven. There's no way Shadow Isles, or no way Bilgewater will be able to defend a 25% nor a 50% strength increase of a team that has an Aatrox on it.
Yeah, Shadow Isles, this could be a huge thing. Because Shadow Isles has just been getting like shit on for the entire arc. So them not only winning against the behemoths that are Bilgewater, but also getting that massive advantage in the lore it'll be a huge turning point for them, which might allow them to get some credit at the end, very tail end of the arc.
Junpei, I'm gonna have to correct you. Bilgewater are not massive anymore. That is a misconception, Drew. They were, but now they're not, due to the fact that every faction now has champions that can counter them due to how we've recently changed the championship roundup.
I am aware that that is a fair point, but Shadow Isles in general is very disadvantaged against Bilgewater, even with that new system.
Not too much, but look, it's at this point, everybody still thinks that Bilgewater is a very big contender and will always win, and therefore a lot of people have biasm towards Bilgewater, and really against them at that point. It is unfair to keep that because all factions have a chance to fight them now due to all the champions they've gotten. And people thinking that we should continue to nerf Bilgewater is just remembering the past.
But
I just want to say that.
I'm also speaking in terms of the lore, because Bilgewater, very big, like considering they won the first Nyroth tournament, they are basically the official emissaries to Nyroth. They're very big juggernauts in the lore as well, and the winning this will be a big thing for Shadow Isles establishing some sort of place for themselves.
No. Okay, then in lore aspect I will talk about that, and I admit that Bilgewater are massive there. I'm just talking about the actual factions fights themselves.
Oh yeah,
to be clear.
I've noticed, like, since the second tournament, Bilgewater have definitely gotten a lot weaker and a lot easier to beat now that the new system has been implemented.
Yep.
Generally, I'm a very big fan of the system because it helps reduce the snowball effect that was in place for both Hextech Revolution and this arc. There's a skirmish up at
One thing to also know with the change is like you said, the loss of the snowball effect, but every time that champions are added, new strategies have to be come up with.
Right.
Pretend I made sense with that sentence.
It's a constantly evolving
Thank you.
game, basically.
Yep. Because if you keep the same system, even though the champions that enemy team now has counter that system, then you're just going to lose that outright because you didn't bother to change.
Right.
Something to note.
Like, the addition of Wukong to Ionia's roster basically changed their whole game.
Along with the addition to Lucian as well, giving Ionia very, very mobile ADC. And Ezreal as well, but I mainly mean Lucian.
And then Kalista to Shadow Isle.
This is honestly the first week that Shadow Isles have really used Kalista well.
That's fair. But, like, a lot of people's problem with Shadow Isles is just that they did not have any carry. And with that problem solved, it seems people have a higher opinion of them, even if they don't use her.
Yeah. That's not a matter of not using her, it's just they never used her well.
Also, team fight at bot lane, 1-for-1 so far.
Gonna be a 2-for-1 unless Fizz lands the fish on and the flip. That might be Raptor Tech falling.
Dead. But here comes in
So
Mordekaiser, hopefully to pick up the kills. Ozymandias is safe, but here comes...
Fizz getting hit by everything except the Thresh Hook at that point, though it does seem like Mike wants to use his ultimate onto Nautilus. Shield coming up, barely saving him. It will not last long enough. Shield. Oh no, the shield and the ultimate are completely timed. That was very close by Nagarok.
Urgot gets dived at top lane and dies.
Dope.
Heavy weapons guy live with...
Sorry.
Whatever.
That is like the one thing I'm a grammar Nazi about.
Heavy weapons guy alive with a little bit over 200 health. Nobody really to stop him, considering the big skirmish in the river.
That nice little Mage passive giving him some...
Mike will get the mid-turret. Nami, futile attempt to stop him, got a third of her health taken out by one Mordekaiser E.
Mordekaiser's pretty far ahead. He's got his revolver along with two of the components for Rod of Ages. C-Drive not doing his best against his counter. Oh, but with red buff on the side of Fizz, that might lead into a kill. Mordekaiser's ultimate is down. Basic attack after basic attack. Ultimate from Nautilus, able to secure the kill with the hook. The flash canceling out the hook, but the Q from Fizz already landed.
Well-time flash on Mike's part, but it did not save him.
That would have been an amazing flash if Fizz had not gotten that Q off at the same time. And right now, seeing Raptor attack, trying to fight the Fizz, but with red buff on Fizz's side, it wouldn't be that smart of an idea. Urgot is coming around from the top. That will be... Oh, using his ghost to try to catch up to Fizz. Fizz using his flip. That might be the ultimate. Oh, flash Shima Papaka and ulting him back into the bush. That was a very weird play. Shim trying to go for Animorph instead, trying to get as much as he can. Bubble landing onto Shima Papaka. Ultimate hitting Urgot as well. Maokai coming right in, landing a Q, and that'll be Raptor attack, trying to go onto Fizz. That was a very wonderful play by C-Drive. Flashing out of the bush to try and freak out Chima Papaka, and in doing so, Chim had in the mindset, I must ult Fizz to try to save myself from Nautilus, but not realizing where he was with the positioning, pretty much just reversed the flash, leaving him outside the bush. Now,
that was a very strange play on Chip's part.
Now, we shan't fault people too much. There are some times where everybody screws up. That's just I wanted to ult to try to get away from the Nautilus, but it happens.
As a frequent player for Ionian featured matches, I know everybody screws up.
There you go. Though still, everybody is making good decisions right now. 100 gold lead on the side of Shadow Isles. The CS difference between the ADCs and the mid lane really holding up the gold advantage.
I'm actually surprised at how relatively even this game is right now. Like,
Animorph being hooked. Unfortunately, Kalista using her ultimate to save Thresh's life.
It looks like they're going to be able to get away scot-free with only an ultimate used.
Nautilus does see the ward and Big Mike. Slows him down a little bit. Fizz, sped increased, ultimate landing onto Nox Diplomacy, flashing away from the bubble. Fizz jumping right onto her in the back line. Ultimate onto Mordekaiser, as long as the ultimate on Mordekaiser from Fizz, and backwards, and Zalk securing the kill onto Mordo. Very well done by Bilgewater.
Thresh just trying to do something, not really able to do much of anything. And Bilgewater has perfectly set themselves up for this dragon, although Amumu is around.
Amumu is on the outside, but here's the thing, Nagrok is 2 levels higher than the Amumu, so his smite is roughly 40%. Oh, and Amumu doesn't even have smite, it's up in 8 seconds. He could have tried to steal this, but it wouldn't have been that effective, and still jumping in using his ultimate. That was a very well played, the Thresh Hook, essentially wasting his ultimate though. If there's a team fight within the next 2 minutes, that would be very poor. Sorry.
I mean, not to rag on him, but Amumu could have definitely played that better. That was a very ineffective ult.
I mean, Amumu didn't have his smite up, and that is a common misplay by most of the junglers nowadays because of how important Dragon is. If you feel that your team could do a Dragon, even if it's within 3 minutes, you need to make sure you know your smite cooldown. If you know that Dragon's gonna be up in a minute and 5 seconds, use your smite then, not within that time, just because you need it the second it comes up, just in case.
Well, what I'm saying is that if he wanted to do something, he could have done that better, but in general, there was pretty much no chance of Shadow Isles actually being able to get the Dragon there.
No. Even if the smite was up, Nautilus had about 80 damage on his smite versus his... On his smite, yeah. Or 60 damage on. Actually, it's up 30 damage every rank, not 40 now. But still, 60 true damage, it's very easy to tell what health that is to smite at. Looking in towards the bot lane, we see Bilgewater putting down some really strong poke against the Shadow Isles.
Fizz is heading towards bot lane. He might be trying to do something.
Fizz dodges the Sentinel, though runs into the pink ward. Ozymandias running into the wrong direction. Mobility boots saving his life. They'll flip as well. Landing the Q onto the point blank. Fizz play pushing him farther away. The fish landing on both Ozymandias and Thresh. Oh, Thresh getting locked down in the bubble. Hook missing. Fear. Well,
Dealing some heavy damage.
Fish should just run.
He wasn't able to
that was a very good strategy from
So
Shadow Isles, nearly
something.
killing off Fizz, but unfortunately
they
the
are
fish
going to
landing onto Nagrok being caught up by 3 people. The point blank stun missing. Ultimate onto Chimababaka.
Doesn't do anything.
Chip using his ultimate on C-Drive, getting C-Drive running away. Heal being used onto the Fizz as well. Chim getting knocked down is really, really hard. Nagrok, he might die in a few more seconds.
He simply dies.
Up shield just to make sure he does not die. Very strong play by Nautilus Jungle. Coming in, even though if Raptor had hit that point blank stun, that might have been just a little bit of time the Shadows could have used. Oh,
Here comes
C-Drive.
Kalista.
Oh, Kalista almost killing off C-Drive. If he was able to get 2 more basic attacks, that definitely would have killed off the Fizz. Though does save the tower, so good for her. A 4k gold lead for the side of Bilgewater. Though Mordekaiser is just farming mid lane, nearly double the CS of Fizz right now. Though with 6 kills on Fizz, I don't think it matters.
Bilgewater has a decently significant lead right now. They're even in towers, but they have more gold and a dragon, which makes a big difference nowadays. That first dragon is very, very important.
6% damage and 6% AP and AD generally can turn a fight due to the fact of how often people live with only 1 or 3 health. Such as that Nautilus back when Mordekaiser had ulted Naughty. If there was 6% more AP, maybe that would have killed off Nagarok versus the shield saving it all. 'Tis things to know.
Taking a second to examine the builds here, it seems like Graves and Kalista are generally running the same thing, rushing Infinity Edge, although Kalista has the Berserker's Greaves while Graves has an extra Doran's Blade.
And Graves does not have enough to finish the boots, sorry.
Amumu, oddly enough, getting a Haunting Guise instead of a tank item. It looks like he's going to be building that into a Leontri's Torment.
Something that is commonly done among champions that are generally seen as tanky but can a hook onto Ozymandias from Nagarok, using his E to C-Drive, landing, getting hit by the Q from... I messed up the entire fight. He got hooked, got out of it. Congratulations. Ult from Raptor attacks in for the champions. Animal taken very low, but unfortunately that re-engage was not something Shadow Isles needed. Zalk able to flash out with his life as heavy weapons guys being focused by the tower.
Situation.
And then Fizz able to... Wow, an ace. And C-Drive might be able to survive if Ignite has fallen off, and that's just the Mordekaiser ultimate, which will not do 100 health instantly. Very strong team fight from Bilgewater.
And that was a 5-0 for Bilgewater.
2 tanks make a big difference, along with the re-engage from Shadow Isles that was not needed.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
The problem here lies in the fact that Shadow Isles tanks are very aggressive, which doesn't work that well against Bilgewater's comp. Especially when they have such a significant advantage.
It works well when they're ahead to the point of they'll stay ahead. But if they're behind and they try to act like they're ahead, it just makes them more behind. That's a paradox. Like that. One thing to note... You first.
Amumu landed a very good ultimate there, but they're so far behind at this point that it really didn't mean anything.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
But
Like Shadow Bilgewater's gold lead is almost 9k gold.
As I was saying before, junglers that are seen as tanky but can also go AP, such as Elise and Amumu, often go for the tank jungle item while also opting in for a Haunting Guise just for some extra damage to clear the jungle, ever since the old Spectral Wraith and Spectral Lizard had the, well, not Wraith and Lizard, Wraith and Golem had the change to that it didn't increase damage anymore. But right now it doesn't seem like Raptor Attack is going to build the tanky item at all. He does not have a health crystal.
Yeah, Raptor Attacks... I just find it strange that he's not opting for any tankiness.
And also, he's pushing top lane while Dragon is maybe he realizes that they cannot secure this dragon, but at the same time should be there with his team, just in case something goes horribly wrong. Is that... Oh, I thought that was a teleport from Amumu. I was gonna be like, what the hell's going on? No, it's a teleport from Maokai trying to save the top tower, and he does. Disruptor attacks does very little damage with his basics against towers. That is. Second dragon secured, that gives them a 15% damage increase to towers and buildings, which will be very powerful for this push. There are still 2 interior towers to kill off.
This could end very badly for Shadow Isle, because with that damage boost, Bilgewater could very easily get an inhibitor turret, should they lose another fight.
And they do have a very siege-worthy comp with Maokai Saplings and Graves Buckshot, along with the Fizz Poke, which most people do underrate. For those that don't know, which you should know, Fizz Poke is essentially Q with the W proc and then E out. And then you deal about 400, 500 damage on a single target. Your spells are on cooldown, and that's the best time for enemies to engage, but if you hold back long enough, your team can just supplement any damage that you're lacking until you get your spells back up. As well as since this Fizz does have the components of a Zhonya's and a Lichbane. So he will be doing a good... Oh, we don't have a good bit of damage! I am stuttering! Like a stutterer who stutters because stuttering and redundancy. Yes. Anyway.
Bilgewater, it seems, is going down the middle lane. Raptor attack.
Heavy weapons guy opting in for an iron or an elixir of iron will.
This thing is ultimate.
Though force people back, Amumu and Callista forcing to back right now with that damage increase onto turrets. It seems like the team's just going to force it down. Jimma Pop is trying to do as much damage as possible. Oh, flash! Not flash, poke. And then insta-murder.
Shadow Isles is just not organized right now. They're going to lose an inhibitor because they were just not organized enough to stop Bilgewater's push.
Now this is how powerful a tank lane or tank team can be. Maokai and Nautilus have 0 deaths, 5, 0, and 5 for Maokai, 3, 0, and 13 for Nautilus. Nautilus having a lot of assists. Definitely, since he has so many assists, he's able to get a lot of money that supplements the lack of kills he has versus the rest of his team, which he gave the kills to. Now, I will be honest, when I first saw this game, I assumed that this Fizz would do freaking horribly against Mordekaiser, though. Now that I see 7, 1, and 5 with the generally good plays, I take back my previous thoughts and that this Fizz is really good. Or at least good enough to not feed horribly.
Yeah.
Ooh, speaking of feeding... You're first, sorry.
In general, Urgot, it worked very well against the Gangplank last game, but he just couldn't do much of anything against Maokai. Allowed him to get the gold and the farm he needed. It's just become basically indestructible.
Especially once he got that first blood thanks to the gank and the stayed gank from Raptor, which was a little odd. But either way. Right, now, just a matter of Shadow Isles trying to get back some stability after losing the inhib. But something to note, on top of just Chim's normal play, this game is not going in his favor. 0, 5, and 0. He does have a good amount of CS on him, not beating his laner for once, though just very far behind in his build path. Oh, but looks like Nautilus is pushing down bot lane, but they do have a tank in the top lane to try to save and peel if need be. Oh, ultimate from Heavy Weapons guy, preemptively procced, but just to make sure that nobody dies. Nautilus dying to the Callista, but Callista in turn dying to Nautilus thanks to the poison debuff.
At least they used her heal, but the minions and the poison just got her. 1-for-1 trade, but now Shadow Isles is left without an 80 carry in order to stop this siege.
Shimma Puff manages to use ultimate on Fizz again. Flipping out of the fight, jumping right back in. Heavy Weapons guy absorbing as much of the turret as possible. C-Drive
Forced to flash out.
not going to die to the Ignite. Oh, Heavy Weapons guy coming with Ozymandias from the Flash, though I don't believe he wants to stay there. Nami heals are trying to keep him up as long as possible. Flash over the wall from Zalk.
Flashing in.
A very good play by a teammate to try to help out the tank. Very well done by Zulk.
I don't know why Shadow Isles is using all their CC on Fizz. He just jumps away immediately, and it's all wasted.
It was something I noted in the first game, where a very big outplay that was in Bilgewater's favor, but then soon turned into Shadow Isles' though, was that Chim used his ultimate onto Fizz, who then immediately flipped out, and then they re-engaged the fight about 3 seconds later, once Fizz's flip was on a pretty low cooldown that it didn't matter.
Right, but the thresh was the thresh by the Urgot ult all used on Fizz when it was pretty obvious that he had his hookup.
Now, if anything... Oh, sorry. Didn't know if you were going to say something. If anything, instead of using the Flay, Thresh should have preemptively thrown out the Q to where Fizz was going to land. This way he can CC lock him just a little bit longer. And even though Fizz would have been jumping out of the fight anyway, getting him down to half health before doing that definitely staves any attempt to jump right back in. Now, looking at Amumu's build, and he doesn't have the finished jungler item. He went for his Leandry's instead. Okay, then. Builds are builds.
A quick look at the Twitch chat. Light's opinion on the Amumu build is, and I quote, I can't.
Lol.
Give you a good idea.
Though, that is not the worst build I've seen recently on junglers. Animorph and I were watching one of Dark Omega's placement games, since he was doing his provisionals yesterday, and there was a Shyvana on the enemy team who got a Hunter's Machete, and then a Cloth Armor, and then a Cloth Armor, and then a Cloth Armor, and then a Cloth Armor. Before... fight coming out, Big might be focused down, Nautilus knockup, and the Nami knockup, taking him down. Oh, Nami taking the kill on it. Head Weapons guy does have the Mordekaiser ult on Amumu, jumping into the backline. Ultimate does hit a lot of the people, but he runs out. Leandry's does a lot of good whenever you're able to sit on them, but not when you immediately run away. But it is a 1-for-1. Fizz is in the backline now. I'm going to have to finish the story later. Nagarok hit by a Fizz. Hit by the...
again.
But the Fizz ult was able to do some really good zoning. Since nobody could cross over that zone, it was Amumu left alone to die.
Lisa chasing
a flash ult from Shima Papaka, but Animal planning a bubble, Nagarok planning a hook, and that would be a kill for Nagarok. Ozymandias. Oh, Fizz might be able to, lands the flip kill. Ignite onto Noxian Diplomacy. Will it kill her? Nope.
He flashes away.
She lives. Urgot getting an assist. Oh yeah. But
that was not a good fight for Shadow Isles.
To continue my story, we saw the enemy Shyvana build Hunter's Machete and then 4 consistent Cloth Armors, and then after 20 minutes never finished her jungle item and kept it as a Hunter's Machete. At the end, she had a Chain Vest and a Warden's Mail. And a pair of boots. It was pretty sad.
I think I saw Dyrus use that.
Don't you dare try to get people to do that because you say Dyrus did it. You're a terrible person, Junpei. Hey. Just change your name to Junpei. Be a lot easier, dude.
I will not rest until I can get the casters to pronounce my name right.
I do say it right. I just like to tease you at the same time because people keep calling me... I'm not going to say it, but yeah.
J damage.
Fuck you, Pork, and everything you stand for in life.
That is what I always read your name as. I'm sorry.
I know, and it infuriates me, because here's the thing. We both are in the same boat of, people just don't fucking read our names right. It's a matter of, hi, I have 6 letters in my name. You're reading it as 7, where yours is, hi, I have 6 letters in my name, and you're switching 2 of them.
See, even Cupcake likes it. He's calling you J damage.
Fuck you, Cupcake.
I will be honest about it. I didn't know how to pronounce Junpei either until I finished the second Zero Escape game. They said Junpei and my mind was just blown. Then I played Persona 3 and I understood everything.
Well done, and we didn't notice that Baron was taken by Bilgewater. Yay!
Right. We should probably talk about what's happening in the game, right?
I mean, we know it's gonna be a crush right now. Mumu's dead. Well,
yeah.
Dead again.
Bilgewater is just crushing this game too, so it's really going to come down to what happens in Game 3, tiebreaker.
Maokai is not with the team and now pushing top lane, but with Baron buff, that is completely okay. But yeah, Junpei, once you told me how to pronounce your name, I made sure to try to remember it. I just consistently poke fun at you because this is the first time we've cast together, so of course I have to put you through your ropes. Nagrok jumping onto Chimapapa using his ultimate as well, knocking him up. Maokai jumping into the backline, ultimate onto both Diplomacy and Chimapapa. Unfortunately, Fizz does fall, killing off Callista in return.
Raptor attack looking pretty good. Everybody else not so much.
Fizz and Nautilus dying in the fight, but there is a Baron up cannon minion taking out the tower. Heavy weapons guys Zalk and Animorph are still going to continue this push, taking out a second inhibitor.
Surprisingly, Shadows did manage to pick up 2 kills, but it's not going to matter that much because Bilgewater is going to be able to pick up both inhibitors. Or rather, yeah,
they were very nice. There were very nice kills. Chim and Callisto were focusing down the Fizz, who was taking the Nexus Tower at the same time. But Fizz wanted to make sure that Callista died and was not afraid to kill himself to do so. And for that, I raise my glass to thee, which is actually a cup, a plastic cup, with a restaurant's name on it, that I shan't say for copyright reasons. But yes. Anyway.
So Bilgewater with the 14k gold lead now pretty much has the game in the palm of their hands, so it basically comes down to when are they going to engage on the next team fight.
And something to note here, unless Bilgewater loses a fight tremendously to the point of a 4v5, like a 5-0 would be the only way that they could possibly lose this game. But even then, with the amount of minions pushing in all 3 lanes, it would take Shadow Owls about 20 seconds to get enough minions to the towers, even if they were from mid lane, to push into the inhibitor. So, very, very little chance that Bilgewater should throw this.
Heavy Weapons guys picked up the tank potion, causing his model to increase to be bigger than Nautilus.
Yes, he bought that back originally when they were taking the inhibitor the first time, and that really did help them, absorbing some extra skill shots that the players did not need to worry about. Now this will be dragging in 9 seconds. Little Bergman. I'm gonna...
It is strange how small Nautilus's model is.
He's considered a large character, but he's not.
He's supposed to be large, but he's so small.
If I remember correctly, there are 4 large characters. It's Nautilus, Malphite, Brand, because he's tall, which is one of the requirements, and I believe... I don't want to say Maokai. I think it's another one. I think maybe Hecarim are considered large character models.
I understand some champions like Rek'Sai and Cho'Gath are canonically like much larger than they are in League.
Yeah.
But Nautilus has the potential to be a lot bigger than he is without really messing up too much.
I mean, you could all just say it's the diving suit. For all we know, it could just be 2 Munchkins in the middle of it. Just, you crack open the diving suit shell and you find Munchkin creamy filling.
Because on one hand, Rek'Sai is about the size of a small house in canon, which obviously would not work in League, but Nautilus is not that large.
Nautilus is probably about like 8 feet tall if you include the diving suit, which probably would be smart. Oh, Raptor Attack jumping into the backline. Fizz ultimate landing on him as well. Maokai Nautilus in the back line of Shadow Owls. Zalk being hit by the Urgot ultimate this time instead of the Fizz. Zalk taken out of the fight. Unfortunately, Callista is as well. Nagarok. Nami landing a bubble onto Chimapapa. Nagarok having the Mordekaiser ult fall off. Chases down Chimapapa. Ghost being popped as well. Bubble does not land. Flash from Nagarok and a punch in the back of the head secures the kill. And that is a 1 for 3 in the favor of Bilgewater.
Raptor Attacks was able to bring Fizz very low, but it didn't matter much. Fizz was able to just barely get out of there.
Yep, there are still... Oops, Ozymandias caught by Nagarok. Bubble onto both Ozzy and Mike, and that will be an ace for Bilgewater. Proving yet again, tank duo tank metas. Is that
yes. Right? It's going to be end of the game.
A very close and wonderful game from both teams.
I'm sure these 2 tanks of the sport are very happy. They managed to end the game, not the damage dealers.
Yep. You know, I say close, but it wasn't. Oh, damn! Look at Nautilus go! He's moving! He's breaking the game!
He left!
It started
he
out
said,
very
fuck
close.
This! Sorry, this is amazing.
The game started out very, very close, but once Bilgewater managed to pick up that dragon, it was basically over.
Yeah, the Amumu not having Smite up, he might have been able to take it. It would have been very close since the people were blocking the dragon pit itself. But stealing that dragon would have led to an amazing opportunity.
Callista
I
did
have
53 more damage than Graves. If
Aw.
my math is correct. Yes. So close!
real quick. I myself have been in a part of games where a single dragon mishap have lost the game due to the actual 6% damage. But anyway, Junpei, tell me, who are your MVPs for this game?
Let's see. On Bilgewater, I think I might actually have to give it to Maokai. Like, he was basically indestructible.
And what about for Shadow Isles?
For Shadow Isles,
Sorry.
I think Mordekaiser would have to be my MVP. His contributions really weren't that noted, but he was probably just doing the best out of everybody on Shadow Isles.
Thinking back, I can agree with those, though I will give a split of, probably people figured this out, split MVP for Bilgewater, one for Maokai and one for Nautilus for being tanks, which we desperately needed, and I will give MVP to Mordekaiser for being the only one to do well in lane. That is a big boost. Granted, there wasn't much to do, but yeah.
I apologize, Light. Nagarok did do very well, but I just think Heavy Weapons guy did
Remember,
extremely
this is
well.
MVP, not based off score, based off general plays and how you did well in the game. Not feeding your laner is a generally decent way to get MVP.
Yeah. But yes, good job for
Plus,
everyone.
Sorry.
Go.
I'm going to stop rambling because we should get ready for the third game. We shall see you all later.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
End transition.